Okay, meeting for September 2nd will come to order, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Present.
Commissioner Galt?
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes? Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Kaler?
Present. Tonight we have Palmer Stroop, Paducah Tillman High School student, who is going to help us with our Pledge of Allegiance. Palmer, if you'll come up, please. All rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, are there any additions or deletions?
There are none.
Okay, we have a presentation tonight, Kentucky Storytelling Week, and so we have Meg Hancock and Palmer Stroop. They both are Paducah Tillman High School students. We'd like to welcome you here tonight, and especially Meg, congratulations on your award for your AP Scholar.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Kaler, and other commissioners for inviting us this evening. But we're here to encourage Paducah to take a break next week to celebrate storytelling. It's to tell a story, to listen to stories, just to visit with your friends and family, to think back about all the stories and tall tales you've heard over your lives. Like the ones your grandparents told you back on their couch, or the ones your parents told you to get you to go to sleep. Just for next week, just put down your phones and other things, just tell a story and have fun. See, storytelling is one of the traditional ways that adults have told their kids and younger generations about their ancestors, their culture, and their own heritage. It can be entertaining as well as educational. Now, Steve Beshear, our governor, has made September 18th to the 14th as Kentucky Storytelling Week. And we are excited that Mayor Kaler is making it local here in Paducah, and our Paducah Tillman speech team is going to do the same. Meg can tell you more about the events of next week.
The Tillman speech team is excited to lead the way among Kentucky's high schools in this project. We're joining colleges and libraries and other organizations throughout the state to spread the joy of storytelling. We're sending out team members to Clark, McNabb, and Morgan next Tuesday, and to go and tell stories and help to get the kids involved in storytelling and public speaking and things like that. And we hope that it'll be a great kickoff to our 2014-2015 speech season. And perhaps we'll encourage some of these students to join the speech team when they get a little bit older. I know that Clark is forming its first 4-H speech club this year, and I encourage other schools to likewise stress the importance of speech education and public speaking for its students. Thank you for letting Palmer and me speak to you today, and we look forward to Kentucky Storytelling Week, which starts on Monday. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say I'm so excited because my grandfather would tell stories, and my voice is deep. His was deeper than mine. So I love storytelling. To read a story is great. To tell one is something else. So I encourage you guys to go out there and do your best. Thing about storytelling, it's a different story. We can tell the same story, got different characters. John Henry had a hammer that my story, they were 500 pounds apiece. But your story may be a little different, and that's okay. That's the beauty of it. So I'm excited about it, and I'm serious. I'll pop in somewhere and just start talking and just tell a story, just right out of the blue, just like that. So thank you, guys.
One of my favorite movies, I don't know if you all have seen it, it's Big Fish.
Oh, yeah.
And what a wonderful storyteller he was in that movie, and how the stories became reality, really. And I think, is it Jonesboro, Tennessee, that has the big storytelling festival?
Yes.
We need to do something in Paducah like that, don't we?
Well, let's
work on that.
Do I need to make a motion? Because, we got... There you go. Let's do that. Let's do that.
I mean, we are the smart city.
That's it. That's right.
Okay, well, thank you all, and thank you for your enthusiasm for Paducah and for what you do as far as, you're great students, you're good citizens of Paducah, and you exemplify that to your peers, so thank you. Okay, we have a proclamation that I want to do tonight.
Did you do the proclamation for Kentucky Storytelling?
No, am I supposed to do that too? Okay, I have two proclamations, right?
Right.
I have the one for Kentucky Paducah Storytelling Week. Whereas it is important to help people of all ages develop an appreciation of the oral cultural heritage of both the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the world. And whereas storytelling is one of the traditional ways that Kentucky elders have taught younger generations about their ancestors, heritage, and culture. And storytelling can be used as an educational tool and discipline for any age. And whereas the Kentucky Storytelling Association, Inc. is a 501c3 nonprofit membership organization whose mission is to develop ongoing support and appreciation for storytelling in the Commonwealth. And whereas we are proud of the Paducah team, Paducah Tillman High School speech team members who will be visiting 3 local elementary schools the week of September 8th and 12th in honor of Storytelling Week. And whereas it is important for us to have an understanding and appreciation for storytelling as both a performing art and as everyday activity essential for strong families and communities. Now, therefore, I, Gail Kaler, Mayor of Paducah, do hereby declare September 8th through the 14th, 2014, as Paducah Storytelling Week, and encourage all citizens to participate in its observation by telling a story, listening to a story, and celebrating the power of storytelling. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed September the 2nd, 2014. So, Meg and Palmer, if you'll come forward, I'll give that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, this way. I've already started telling my granddaughter stories too.
Good.
Okay, I have another proclamation tonight. If Mary and Laura will come forward to the podium, please. And then we'll let you all talk a little bit
Okay.
about a wonderful award. Paducah has been named as number 5 on the list of the world's smartest cities by the National Geographic Travel article, The 2014 Traveler, 50 World's Smartest Cities. I say that slowly. And whereas Ian McFarland, consultant for the National Geographic's Channel Smart Cities program, says smart cities are well connected locally and internationally, have a sustainable lifestyle, and are places where people come first. And whereas Paducah is well connected locally, countrywide, and internationally through its designation as a UNESCO Creative City of Folk Art and Craft, which enables the free exchange of ideas, the development of partnerships, and opens the door for intercultural communications with cities around the world. And whereas the National Quilt Museum of the United States and the Lowertown Art Districts create a cultural hub that draws in tourists from across the United States and from abroad. And whereas Paducah strives to create a sustainable lifestyle by promoting responsible living, sponsoring job creation initiatives, encouraging locally owned businesses, and maintaining a high standard of living. Whereas Paducah has been ranked as one of the most affordable cities in America, which allows our citizens and visitors to enjoy our artistic culture, filled with diverse festivals, museums, and music, while still living frugally. And most of all, Paducah values its people who have worked to create our outstanding community that can be enjoyed by local residents and visitors from around the world. Paducah is and will always be a place where people come first. Now, therefore, I, Gail Kaler, Mayor of Paducah, do hereby declare September 2nd, 2014 as Smart City Day in Paducah and encourage all citizens to enjoy the cultural richness of our community and continue to work toward an artistic, sustainable, and people-oriented city. In witness whereof, I have caused the seal of the city to be affixed September the 2nd, 2014. And I would like to especially thank Mary Hammonds and Laura as part of her team at the CVB for all the hard work that they have done on this and for all the hard work that everyone in this community has done together to make this possible.
Yes. This proclamation is sort of like the cliff notes of our Creative Cities application. I think it's all of the things that UNESCO wants us to be as cities. Now, when I looked up Smart Cities Council and saw what they're really all about, livability, workability, sustainability, and that's really UNESCO. They've just given us a way to tie it all together, and thank goodness National Geographic has paid attention to us. I do urge you to look at the smartcitiescouncil.com website, where there's an article, National Geographic 50 Smart Cities Travelers Love, and why Paducah, Kentucky is number 5. But I love it. They spell it out exactly what you're saying here in the proclamation. And it's not what we've done. We are facilitators at the Visitors Bureau. We take what we have in Paducah, we take our assets and make the most out of it. And we've got, gosh, what did I always used to say? Our team is deep. We've got great assets. Well, you know it's true. We've got great assets. We've got a city commission that has led the way. It goes back to, it goes back a long time to setting up all of the different organizations that are having their anniversaries, from 50 years at the Market House Theater, 30 with the 35 with the symphony, all the different people who believed in Paducah, a government that is forward-thinking. Look at that artist relocation program. It really put us on the map. It made us all work together and get some national and international attention. And I'm so very proud. Thank you all for supporting all the things we do. Do look at why. I think we think smart. There's only one meaning for smart, and that's not right. So you must read about this and all the things that you were just talking about. The city needs a heart and a soul. Typically the center, where people congregate for work and leisure. Smart cities are well connected locally and international. They have sustainable lifestyle and are places where people come first, exactly what you said. And how proud and how lucky we all are. But I want you to hear from Laura Schomburg, our marketing director at the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau, to see how we get in connected with these magazines and how this doesn't just happen, but you have to stand up and say, look at me, look at me. And we send Laura to New York City, where she has meetings with different writers, bloggers, magazines, and I'd love for her to tell you a little bit about how this all ties together.
Thanks, Mary. As we look forward to Storytelling Week, I guess this is a good time to share a little bit about this. We, as the Visitors Bureau, in Marketing Paducah, we try to tell that story of the heart and soul that this community is all about. And the UNESCO designation created a new platform for us and a newsworthy element that has allowed us to connect with some major national media. I went to New York, as Mary mentioned, in May and met with a writer who is also a fiber artist, and she was on the advisory council for this 50 traveler column. And so our PR agency that we've brought on to work with continued to further that relationship and tell Paducah's story and explain what else was going on here. How were we able to get this UNESCO designation? And they connected us with, obviously, the right people and the outlets that allow us to tell this story to the audiences that really care about what we have here and also want to enjoy it. So hopefully this article is one of many to come, more recognition for the great things that all the people in our city have done and are doing. So thank you all for recognizing that today.
And as I said, it takes so many people to make this happen. And I want you all to feel like you're in church right now. So I want you to reach in front of the person in front of you or beside you and pat them on the back. Because it took all of us, and even the people that are home, just reach over and pat them on the back.
Here's some copies of the magazine.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, I have to say one thing. Sure do like your bow tie, Richard.
Appreciate it.
That's the McCracken tartan, and I love to see it. I love that it's got the Kentucky blue and the cardinal red. It's a beautiful, beautiful tartan. Thank you for wearing it proudly.
Well, you're welcome.
And I know there's stories that will follow with our McCracken.
Well, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, we were supposed to have a presentation tonight by Dave Clark with Paducah Power System, and due to a conflict with their consultant, that has been rescheduled for September 23rd. So we look forward to having Dave and his consultant here on the 23rd to talk to us about the future of Prairie State and their partnership. We'll go on to our meeting. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that the reading of the minutes for August 26, 2014 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. Municipal order. Commissioner Galt, please.
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Need a second?
Second.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. Commissioner Wilson, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Grant Application and All Documents Necessary to Obtain a 2014 Kentucky Body Armor Reimbursement Grant in the amount of $9,310 through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security Law Enforcement Protection Program to be used for the purchase of body armor by the Paducah Police Department," be adopted.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving the Sale of Real Property Located at 2306 Elijah Street for and in consideration for $300 to Jamie DeSantiago and Ara." I have no idea how to pronounce this, so I don't want to butcher it. Just Rios be adopted.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion here? City Clerk, please.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. It's another piece of our surplus property put to good use. We'll go on to ordinances adoption. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Paducah Approving an Agreement with the Kentucky Department for Local Government to obtain a Community Development Block Grant Award on behalf of the Four Rivers Behavioral Health Center, Point Recovery Center, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents relating to same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City of Paducah approves an agreement with the Kentucky Department for Local Government to obtain a Community Development Block Grant Award on behalf of Four Rivers Behavioral Health Center Point Recovery Center in the amount of $250,000, with the city receiving $12,500 of said grant for administration. No local match is required. Further, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute all documents necessary to accept the grant award with the Kentucky Department for Local Government, and authorized to execute the legally binding agreement with Four Rivers Behavioral Health for the Center Point Recovery Center.
Second.
We've already discussed all these. Any questions? City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. Wait a minute. Commissioner Wilson. Is that where I am?
Right, this is the long one. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, authorizing the issuance of City of Paducah, Kentucky general obligation bonds, Series 2014C, in the approximate aggregate principal amount of $2,415,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of Series 2014C bonds by up to $240,000, for the purpose of financing a portion of the cost of construction of a showroom at the Julia and Carroll Convention Center and City of Paducah, Kentucky taxable general obligations bonds, Series 2014D, and the approximate aggregate principal amount of $4,325,000, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing the principal amount of Series 2014C bonds by up to $435,000, for the purpose of financing a portion of the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipment of an economic development project in the City of Paducah, Kentucky, authorizing and approving a contract, lease, and option, subordinated leasehold, mortgage, and sales tax refund pledge and security agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and the Paducah Convention Hotel, LLC, in connection with the issuance of the Series 2014D bonds, approving the forms of bonds, authorizing designated officers to execute and deliver the bonds, authorizing and directing the filing of notice with the state local debt officer, providing for the payment and security of the bonds, creating bond payment funds, maintaining the heretofore established sinking fund, authorizing acceptance of the bid of the bonds purchasers for the purchase of the bonds, and repealing inconsistent ordinances. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the issuance of general obligation bonds designated as Series 2014C in the approximate principal amount of $2,415,000, the Series 2014C bonds, and Series 2014D in the approximate principal amount of $4,325,000, the Series 24T bonds, and together with the Series 2014C bonds, known as the bonds, by the City of Paducah, Kentucky. The bonds are to be issued for the purpose of financing a portion of the cost of the construction of a showroom at the Julia and Carroll Convention Center, a portion of the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of improvements at a hotel to be located adjacent to the Julia and Carroll Convention Center and to be leased to Paducah Convention Hotel, LLC, a Kentucky limited liability corporation, for use in furtherance of economic development within the city. Provisions are made in the ordinance for the payment of the bonds and the security therefor, for the application of the proceeds of the bonds, for the establishment of bond payment funds, for the maintenance of the previously established sinking fund, and for certain covenants of the city with respect to the bonds. The ordinance further authorizes the execution and delivery by the city of a lease agreement, a subordinated leasehold mortgage and security agreement, and a sales tax refund pledge and security agreement with the lessee in connection with the leasing to the lessee of the 2014D project. The bonds are to be sold at public competitive sale and shall mature or be subject to mandatory sinking fund redemption in varying amounts on November 1 of each of the years 2015 through 2025. The bonds pledge the full faith and credit of the city, and provision is made for the collection of a tax to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds, subject to certain credits, as provided in Section D of the ordinance. As required by KRS 83A.060, the following Section 7 of the ordinance is set forth in its entirety. Section 7, General Obligation. The bond shall be full general obligations of the city and for the payment of said bonds and the interest thereon. The full faith, credit, and revenue of the city are hereby pledged for the prompt payment thereof. During the period the bonds are outstanding, there shall be and there hereby is levied on all the taxable property in the city, in addition to all other taxes without limitation as to rate, a direct tax annually in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds when and as due, as being hereby found and determined that current tax rates are within all applicable limitations. Said tax shall be and is hereby ordered computed, certified, levied, and extended upon the tax duplicate and collected by the same officers in the same manner and at the same time the taxes for general purposes for each of said years are certified, extended, and collected. Said tax shall be placed before and in preference to all other items and for the full amount thereof provided, however that in each year, to the extent that the other lawfully available funds of the city are available for the payment of the bonds, including amounts available under the lease, and are appropriated for such purpose, the amount of such direct tax upon all of the taxable property in the city shall be reduced by the amount of such other funds so available and appropriated.
Right. Any discussion? City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kayler.
Aye. Okay. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance approving a pension increase to the eligible annuitants under the Police and Firefighter Retirement Fund of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, as defined by KRS 95.859. This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City Commission authorizes the Finance Director to provide funds significant to cover the cost of a one-time only 2% pension adjustment in the amount of $212,000 for the eligible annuitants under the Police and Firefighter Retirement Fund of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. Further, the Finance Director is hereby directed to transfer said non-recurring funds from the General Fund or Reserve Fund balance to the Police and Firefighters Retirement Fund.
Second.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
No.
Mayor Kayler.
No. Commissioner Galt, please.
I have a
Oh, sure.
So what happens with this?
With a two to two vote.
Yeah, clerk. What happens with that?
It does.
It dies.
It does.
Well, that's unfortunate. We just got an award for a city that loves its people, and this $40 increase would that's kind of.
Well, I would say if you look at our current budget, though, we already are making a payment of about $500,000 to the fund that was established in 2005 to get that fund fully funded.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're paying an additional last year over $415,000 in addition to that to keep it fully funded. And it was my understanding when that's the past employees, when they did not go with the state retirement program and we borrowed the money to fully fund that account, they were told that that was it, and that if they had the money in the account, they could give themselves that raise. Unfortunately, evidently there's not enough money in that account, and that's why we continue to every year have to put more money in, which we've already put out of our budget, an additional $400,000 this year, in addition to the $500,000 we're making on the bond payment where we borrowed money.
Well, I appreciate that, but I believe that these are our people. These are our guys, and whatever we have to do to make sure that in their later years, that whatever we can do, we can do. Now, we spent a lot of money up here on some things that are questionable, and we get the flack from that. We all jumped in, and we realized that this is, for me, this was a no-brainer. But I mean, I guess it dies, and that's a shame. But I think our retirees that came to work every day and put it on the line deserve that extra $40. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, last week I wasn't here, and I did watch it from home, but I had not obviously discussed the vote with you all. So, but for me, it was a no-brainer as well, because it was, we were going to realize the savings, and obviously, I think it's important. When you look at the widows, they had a cumulative increase of over 10%, and it's the people that did the work, and some have had retired before then, obviously have had no increase. And I understand exactly what you're saying, Commissioner Wilson, but it just kind of flies in the face, in my opinion, if there was a one-time opportunity to at least show it was less than $40 a month. So, but that's okay. I mean, I get it. It does.
What bothers me is that it was one time. It seems capricious for us to sit up here and give somebody a one-time increase either we do it every year or we don't do it. It just,
Well,
like
that's-
one time since 2008. So I think we need to think more about it and what are we going to do in the future? The state statute says we may. It doesn't say you will, just that you may. So the whole thing seems very capricious to me.
Well, I think,
the way it's set up.
the state says we may. I think we should. So that's,
Every year or just occasionally?
if it's available.
Just whenever we have the money or feel benevolent.
No, when it's available, we should do it. That's the way I feel about that. I mean, if we have the money, we should do it. That's not. I don't understand why that's so complicated to understand. But that's the vote. So we can. It dies.
All right. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with the Luther F. Carson Four Rivers Center, Inc. for specific services. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract with the Luther F. Carson Four Rivers Center, Inc. in the amount of $80,240 to provide an extensive youth performance schedule in continuing with their tradition of the Class Act series. The contract shall expire June 30th, 2015.
Second.
I think there were some questions last week that people thought that was additional money that we were giving them above and beyond what we had allotted in the arts fund, that this was additional money.
No, it
I think
includes.
it needs to be clear that it's.
Yeah, okay. And I wish I had the exact figures. I did obtain those, but it is a continuation of funding for both those agencies through our consortium funding program. Indeed, the total amount in that pool was added to this year by the Commission, so in both instances of Carson Center and Paducah Symphony, their allocation from the city is going up this year from what it was last year. I want to say in one case $12,000 or $14,000, perhaps a little less than the other, but I don't have those figures right in front of me.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kayler.
Aye. Commissioner Wilson, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Paducah Symphony Orchestra for specific services. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Paducah Symphony Orchestra in the amount of $22,855 for specific services. This contract shall expire June 30, 2015.
Second.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kayler.
Aye. Introductions tonight. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving an agreement for enterprise resource planning consultant services and authorizing the execution of said contract. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby approves an agreement with Plant & Morgan for consulting services to assist with the creation and evaluation of the request for proposals for the upgrading or replacement of the city's current SunGuard system in the amount not to exceed $70,800. Is that right? Yeah, $70,840.08, and authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement for same.
Second.
Hi, Greg.
Good evening. Several of you, I think I added a executive summary in your packet, but I do want to summarize that this evening. Basically, since 1994, the City of Paducah has been using an enterprise resource planning software package. All that is our business management software package. Some of you may have heard it known as HTE or SunGuard. That's what we're referring to here. Basically, the finance department uses it to track its revenues, expenditures, property tax, business licenses. Our inspection department or fire prevention services use it for building permits, code enforcement, those types of things, work orders, purchasing, payroll, pretty much everything that runs the city of Paducah is this encompassed in this suite of software in this system. We have reached a point, and if you remember back during our budget discussion, we're reaching a point in the life cycle where the current system is going to require us to either upgrade or replace the system in order to meet our changing city business needs. Several of those factors are the changes in the city business processes, reporting capabilities, payment options that we want to explore, as well as things like access to information both internally as well as externally. ERP software touches all of our departments. It's expensive. It's technologically complex, and there are numerous factors that are going to influence how we proceed further. And that's where we get into Plant Moran is a company, a consulting firm, who does specialize in helping communities or local governments through this process. Let me back up a little bit. Over the past couple of years, Finance Department and Inspection Department have been sending staff members to the SunGuard Users Group, and during that process, or during that users group, they've been exposed to some of SunGuard's new products. And one of those was an upgrade. It's called One Solution. So, especially Finance and Inspection came back, said we're interested in this. Let's take a harder look at it. And so we contacted SunGuard. They gave us budgetary quotes for this. And as we kept talking through the process of what we wanted and how we wanted to eventually evolve this ERP system, the price tag kept growing. We're now approaching about a $900,000 price tag. This is a budgetary quote now, but so it's very expensive. It's also going to entail some changes in our the technology backbone. What I'm saying is it's going to be more complex. It will also be a 2 to 3 year project and be done in phases. So as we're implementing that, this project or this system has to keep working with our current system. We still have to conduct business while that thing's being phased in. And in order to also ensure that we're getting the best pricing for SunGuard, it's best that we issue a request for proposals for this, for what we're wanting to do. That will also invite other vendors as well, so it'll hopefully make the $900,000 price tag at least more competitive. As we were researching what other communities like us were doing, we found that the Plant Moran's name kept coming up as a notably present during that research. For example, Hallandale Beach, Florida was a city that we found that's almost exactly like us. They're a longtime SunGuard customer in need of an upgrade. They contracted with Plant Moran for assistance, and Hallandale Beach recommended we contact them as well. We contacted the firm. They provided us with an overview of their services, very detailed. They gave us a proposal, a 79-page, very detailed proposal based on what they had done for other communities similar to us. Basically, Plant Moran's assessment or proposal consists of 3 phases: an ERP needs assessment, the preparation of the request for proposals, and the solution selection. During the needs assessment phase, they would come in, interview each of the departments, identify what we currently have and what each department is currently using and how they're using the system, identify any shadow systems or redundancies out there that we may need to combine into what ultimately want in the desired ERP environment, the end product that we're wanting. The second phase, as I mentioned, was the request for proposals preparation. That is based heavily on the needs assessment. It defines the vendor selection criteria and weighting factors for the evaluation of the responses. And then we also develop and finalize the ERP software specifications and then distribute that RFP. The third phase is the solution selection, and what Plant Moran would do would assist us during the question and answer period while the RFP was out and open for solicitations. They would help us with proposal response analysis and provide us with guidance during due diligence activities such as reference checks, vendor demonstrations, and site visits. And then at that point, they would also assist us with the conclusion of the preferred vendor. That's where the contract would end. They then also would offer optionally, if we wanted to continue with them, assistance in contract negotiation as well as implementation services if we needed them. Those two phases are not part of this contract, though. The projected time frame for Plant Moran services is 8 to 9 months, and as mentioned, the cost for the three phases is quoted at $70,840.
Good job.
That's my summary of my summary. So.
Thank you.
If I could make a couple comments. Greg alluded to the existence of a staff committee that's been working on this for a good long time. A lot of smart people, dedicated people that are not just wanting to know what the latest technology will allow them to do, but are also looking at it critically from the standpoint of what it is we can do better using that technology. And I applaud them for, at some point, looking out beyond our current vendor for possible innovations that might exist beyond that, which takes us a little bit out of the comfort zone. I think we can all understand that sort of thing. But I think also recognizing that given the magnitude of this change financially and others, that we have to go in with eyes as wide open as we possibly can. So I think this is a good move. I think we need to get moving with it and decide what it is that we're going to get it in and start using it. I know there are a number of applications that we've identified previously as wanting to put in place and go forward that SunGuard did have, but it gets part of the whole bundle, and so it's really not possible always to pick that out, and it also wouldn't necessarily make sense to grab something more out of the SunGuard menu and then possibly go forward with someone else in mass. So I think the timeline will be sped up, however, and wherever it can, so we can move on to identify what all it is that we need, both to replace what we have and take us forward. Now, this company also provides with us some resource in the management side of things, where they will, I think, be in a position with their experience as a management consulting company, and particularly in the municipal field, of perhaps opening our eyes to some things that we might not have been aware of otherwise. So from a management point of view, which is a better perspective than from a vendor coming forward and say, hey, look what this will do for you. These people will identify, I think, opportunities in our system for some of these products and be able to link that together in a way that we know will have a definite payoff, because we'll understand the utilization benefits of it. So I'm really excited about this. Quite frankly, we tried to do it without a consultant, but the thing is just so big and so enormous in all respects that it makes sense to do this and bring in this guiding expertise. So appreciate the Commission's support.
Thank you. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement and all documents relating thereto with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources, KDFWR, and the City of Paducah, Kentucky, for a reimbursable grant award for construction of a transient boat dock as part of the Paducah Riverfront Development Plan. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the City of Paducah hereby approves a grant agreement, all documents relating thereto, with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources for a boating infrastructure grant in the amount of $910,000 for construction of a transient boat dock as part of the Paducah Riverfront Development Plan. The local cash match requirement is $320,000. Further, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute said grant agreement and all documents relating to same.
Second.
Mayor, Commission, you've heard me and I guess several others talk about the big grant, which is a boating infrastructure grant. We've actually already been selected to receive this. This is just the actual, final action for the Commission to adopt that in order that we move forward on that.
Any questions for Rick? Thanks, Rick. Commissioner Wilson, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing the Mayor to Execute an Agreement with Ratio Architects, Inc. and Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc. for master planning and design services for a certain tract of land along the riverfront owned by the City of Paducah, Kentucky." This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City of Paducah hereby approves an agreement with Ratio Architects, Inc. and Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc. for master planning and design services for approximately 6 acres of land along the Ohio riverfront between the Schultz Park improvements and the boundary of the proposed downtown hotel, and an amount not to exceed $34,000, and authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement for same.
Second.
Thank you.
Steve Irvin, did you have this on? Okay, hang on a second. I'm sure it'll come on.
Well, it's in focus.
Shouldn't have to. In my glasses, excuse me a moment. Mayor Commission, this also harkens back to the budget session. Mr. Peterson presented you at budget time with a problem that needs to be solved, and you appropriated funds for this purpose. This is to address a 6-acre piece of property owned by the City of Paducah along the riverfront that is really the bulk of the former Executive Inn property. This is shows a good overview. Maybe we'll cut a light, and that'll help a little bit. Shows a good overview of the land as it is today. It shows Phase 1A of the riverfront done near the convention center, the former site of the Dome. We've already identified property for the hotel, and there's a 6-acre tract in between those two investments that need to be addressed. This shows the footprint of the proposed hotel. This is the site plan that they are preparing to submit to the city. The convention center is over here. The 121-room Hilton Garden Inn will go here. This is the pedestrian passageway. But we can see in clarity now that there's really not a whole lot of parking associated with 600 North 4th, where the building site will be. There's only about 30 parking spots here. The bulk of the parking is on the other side of the flood wall here, and then it shows this, this massive expanse. We don't think this will exactly work out like this. They were preserving a placeholder to demonstrate that there's enough property left over to make a transportation connection, but this pretty well demonstrates the final form that the parking will take. And then, of course, what's in color is what's primarily in Phase 1B. minus a little tail from here over back to Jefferson Street that we are deferring. And that will be out to bid shortly. So with the hotel going here and the Schultz Park improvements going here, this is the area in question. There's one more important thing going on that's funded, and that's the phase phase 4 of the Greenway Trail. This is a funded section that will pick up from the end of the earthen berm just north of the convention center right here, and will continue on down to Jefferson Street to make the final connection back to the Greenway Trail. So this is these three moving parts, and so and this kind of shows it all put together. You know, the Greenway Trail will come through here. We surmise likely in this location, the hotel and its associated parking improvements here, the park here. How are we going to combine and marry these? We know that, you know, this is where 2nd Street ends, and we've got to get over to here, as we showed in the site plan for the hotel. You know, that connection needs to be made from here to here, needs to be made somewhere, but the character of that, the exact location of that is somewhat in doubt. So the purpose of the master plan will be to nail down that location in connection with what are the future land uses for that site. We know one thing for sure, that we want to create associated with the park congregant area. What we're doing with the park in this next phase has this real hard edge, and it just kind of cuts off. So we're going to have to figure out how to blend that into this, and the character of that construction that it will take, and then what are the uses for the balance of the property beyond that. So it's really two essential things. How are we going to make pedestrian vehicular connections between the hotel convention center, and how to move them downtown? It seems easy and obvious, but as we look at this very complicated area right here, and as people come out of the hotel, I don't even know, you got to start counting up the number of left-hand turns they have to take to get them to go back to downtown. To come out of the hotel, they have to go right, they have to take a left here, they have to take a left here, get on the one-way and get back and end up on Broadway down here. So it's a little bit circuitous given the clumsy one-way nature of the downtown loop and how it comes together right in front of the hotel. So we think this will be really critical how we decide to do this. Jeff asked me to include a few pictures of what that 6-acre looks like, and I'm standing almost at the corner, at right where 2nd Street comes through the flood wall, the very end of 2nd Street. And see, obviously the flood wall, that's the top of Walker Hall right there. That's out on 3rd Street. And as we continue to pan around, you can see off in the distance is the convention center, the showroom back over here, and this is the just the last little bit that's left of the executive inn. It's the footprint section of old Section A to the hotel, and as you spin around even further, this ties into the Schultz Park improvements that are going on. And if I kind of weave those all together, it's a pretty big and expansive site with really a lot of opportunity for us to get something right here. So we reached out to Ratio and Bacon Farmer Workman locally for a couple of reasons. Let me start with the BFW, because they are a multidisciplinary company already working on our riverfront project and already working on our convention center projects, and already the civil engineer for the hotel. It just seemed a natural thing to engage them in the master planning and ratio engineering for these reasons that we looked at. They're design-based planning approach. Their experience working in communities like ours. They've worked on riverfront projects before, and really the last one, key as well, they've worked on mixed-use developments in a number of locations. And they've partnered with BFW on other jobs as well. So what are we looking to get out of this master plan? For them to examine, determine the capacity of the utility systems that are present on site. There are water lines, sewer lines, electric, gas, almost everything. And we have some connections going to Phase 1B of Schultz Park, and we have some of those similar connections peeling off and going to the convention center. To propose, and how this is structured is they will interview all of you, but they will work in proposing the plan with PRDA before it comes back to you for a final approval, to propose land use densities and locations to us, to propose interim and transitional uses. We think that will be not an insignificant issue given the immediacy of the hotel and convention center projects, and also then the last one, the very key and tough decision of proposing that pedestrian vehicular circulation solution for this site. Questions? The schedule on this is immediate. We'll have it before you on the 16th. They will start by the end of the month. They expect to be wrapped up in about 6 weeks. So it'll go. They'll work closely with PRDA, and then you should see it back here by the end of the year.
Any questions?
No, good.
No.
All right. Thanks, Steve. City Manager's report.
I've asked Planning Director Steve Doolittle to come forward and give you...
The other Steve Doolittle.
Excuse me, did I say Steve Doolittle? Steve Irvin. To come forward and give you a little information ahead of the submission of a grant application for Schultz Park, and I think he has a second topic he's going to speak on as well.
Are we close to
Not good.
our point again?
I guess so.
On September 16th, I'll be coming back before the Commission with a grant application. It's referred to as the Transportation Alternative Program. It's through the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. 3 of our phases of our Greenway had previously been funded by this grant. It has not been active for many years. We've just recently found out about the program opening back up, and there is a deadline of September 30th of 2014. I know Steve just talked about some of the phases of the Greenway, but I'd like to go through them again. On the far left, you see the green squares. That used land and water conservation funds, and of course that is complete. That goes through Stuart Nelson. The red line to the right of that was phase 2 that used transportation enhancement monies from the Transportation Cabinet. That phase, from what Rick said today, should be completed by the end of this month. To the right of that, you see the green squares. That was phase 1, which also used transportation enhancement funds from the Transportation Cabinet. That basically goes from the US 45 road over to Brookport down to Campbell Street. And then, as Steve also mentioned, phase 4, which is the purple section, that has been funded. We're still waiting for the agreement with that. And that really takes us down to about Madison Street in that area. What we're going to be talking about for the Phase 5 Greenway is really an area that's between Monroe and Madison, and then all the way over to Jefferson, that really finishes the link of the Greenway and the park improvements. The TAP program activities, it does qualify under the bicycle and pedestrian facilities. A couple of important notes: this project cannot be purely for recreational nature. There is a transportation component with a roadway with this, with sidewalks. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet highly recommends the submittal of the projects that are ready to go. Phase 5 that we're going to be talking about has engineered plans completed and all permits are in place. And there's no maximum grant amount at this time. The KY allocation has not been released. This is just a map, but you'll see the red line that bisects the area. To the left of that is the area that is what's referred to as Phase 1B construction, and that area is the area that we've been dealing with for complete renovation of the park. The area to the right is the area that we're considering for Phase 5, and that area, as I mentioned, is between Monroe and Madison, and that will connect into Jefferson Street at 2nd Street. The trail will run east along the riverfront and into approximately Jefferson Street. It includes construction, installation of the concrete trail, asphalt paving of road, utilities and amenities, lighting, landscaping, seating, etc. So this section of Phase 5 will completely complement what's already being planned to be done on the riverfront at this time. Okay. Yeah, and Rick had just mentioned that Phase 5, that's the area that we did defer through the last budget. So we're trying to find another funding mechanism to go ahead and complete the project with this grant. The cost estimate, the grant is $421,000 with $105,000 city match. Total project cost is $526,000. Once again, that's for a complete project that includes seating, landscaping, site lighting. Also includes the removal and demolition of our existing infrastructure, the roads that are in place and those types of things. I just wanted to give you kind of an update. We'll certainly be coming back before you again on the 16th, and if I can answer any of your questions, I'd be certainly happy to.
Steve, how does that actually impact the roadway that goes in front of Schultz Park now? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
That goes through Schultz Park right now. It would include the demolition of that road, and it would be a completely new road that would basically connect to the one that's already designed and enter out onto Jefferson and 2nd Street.
So that would complete it from Stuart Nelson Park all the way down as it goes through underneath the showroom.
Correct.
Through the new park to Madison.
The 6 acres that Steve referred to, through the new park,
All the way through there.
all the way to Jefferson Street.
All the way to Jefferson, okay.
Mm-hmm. Pedestrian and vehicular for the last section. You have anything to add, Rick?
These monies here are not specific to going the trail going underneath. Okay, I just
This
wanted
is
to
just
make
between
sure.
Jefferson and between Monroe and Madison.
And can we
okay.
go back to that picture there where the red line was?
Yeah.
These monies that Steve's talking about is specific only to what it would cost to build from this red line to the flood wall opening there at Jefferson and Water Street. That's what this TAP grant is for, and that's, as Steve stated earlier, would be to rebuild what we see there now, as well as build additional parking spaces for overview and I guess for more of our community to enjoy.
Steve, it's not clear yet. I know we had a long discussion when we spoke with the state person in terms of, and I'm not sure it's clear yet how much financial resources would be required or remain after we did the surface part of this, but we are in discussions with the state yet about eligibility for lighting. Is that correct, as an eligible?
Yes, and how we would actually put that in the application.
Okay, and so we're talking about a travel surface for vehicles to include bicycle, pedestrian. Is that correct?
Correct.
And hopefully lighting.
Landscaping, yes.
Yeah, we're not. Landscaping is less likely than lighting in terms of being a reimbursable cost. I'm just trying to kind of help apprise the commission of at what point we might need to look to our own resources to accomplish kind of ancillary improvements, because I think everybody would agree that we want to raise the standard there in terms of what's there, in terms of the green, the area between the travelable area and the river as well.
Mr. City Manager, in regards to your question, the monies that were, the total cost estimate actually has those ancillary items in it. As far as those percentages based on the granting authorities, whether or not they will be totally applicable or not, we don't know at this time. This cost estimate includes the lighting and those things as a part of the total But as far as the percentage breakouts of what lighting costs or some other ancillary costs might be, we haven't broke those down in this cost.
Right. So it's unknown, and that's part of the reason we wanted to get with the commission tonight is we're sort of trying to ferret out with the state what would be eligible to submit for grant approval, and the surface we're pretty sure about. The lights, we had a good discussion, I think opened some eyes there. Beyond that, I would say we're hopeful but prepared that it may not be allowable, and we would have to take a look at a phase on our own or some of our own resources to complete the project in the ancillary sense.
And some of those costs may not necessarily need to be cash matches. They could be potentially in-kind matches. So I don't necessarily know the definition of the grant, but a lot of times it doesn't have to be 100% cash. It can be in kind. So there could be some opportunities of in kind.
Is it fair to say that the standard that we're looking at here, and I'd like to engage the commission in this discussion if they wish, but I think that's really kind of what's at issue here. The park development, the riverfront, will be built out at a certain standard, okay, of both in terms of how it can be utilized and aesthetically and everything else to make it as attractive and as inviting as possible. Is it true to say, from our point of view, your point of view, that we're looking at that same standard here?
Yes, and it's actually included in the original design as the phase that's being funded.
Because it's pretty clear that as that stretch exists today, it would fall well below the standard that we're looking at for the riverfront and perhaps the 6-acre area, depending on what we do there.
Yes, and that's the area which is right now Schultz Park.
Okay.
I guess another way of stating it would be that once somebody enters the area, when they go through the flood wall at Jefferson and Water Street, they'll realize one cohesive design that, it looks like it was all done at once. But basically, since we're being, I guess, having to look for different funding sources, we're trying to put this puzzle together such that there is a seamless look to it. But given that we're trying to look for additional resources to build the whole thing, we're trying to maintain continuity throughout the whole thing so that people won't realize it was put together with several different purses of money.
Well, and it's certainly fortuitous that the TAP grant opportunity has come along when it did, so that this piece of it can be accomplished, or at least attempted to be accomplished. And going back to the decision to attempt to redirect the former Perkins Creek allocation from there to the area actually within that 6-acre park that we're talking about, the state has signed off on that, and we're good to go there. So that's brought a resource into that 6-acre sort of build out that we might not have had otherwise. So we've had some fairly good fortune here on both of these recently, for sure, and I think that's a credit to staff, and I think a credit to the commission, because I think at least one of those ideas originated to the left of me on the Perkins Creek redirect. So I think we're fortunate. We're sitting relatively pretty good there.
And the $500,000 is also very consistent with what we've gotten in past T grants.
Thank you. Exciting.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
And you were going to talk about the roof program, Steve, correct?
Yes, actually, I would like Linda to come up and just real quickly give you an update on our roof stabilization program that we've had in place now for 2 years.
Good evening. We requested applications for the roof stabilization program through advertisement with the Paducah Sun on August 3rd. And today the Urban Renewal and Community Development Board met, and they reviewed 7 applications for that program. One of the applications was non-responsive due to it being an incomplete application. The other one was deemed ineligible due to the work already being completed. We did have 4 applications that were approved. The recommendation was made to utilize the roof stabilization funds for up to 40% of the approved bids. The first one is 420 Broadway, Arcadia Street Development was the applicant for that one. 313 Broadway, which is Habitat for Humanity. 422 Broadway, which is Rebecca Osbrook. She's a fairly new owner of that building. 218 Broadway, the Brad Rankin Studio. Urban Renewal also reviewed a fifth application for 220 and 222 Broadway, and they requested additional information, and they will make a decision on that within 2 weeks. Do you have any questions?
Good work.
Thank you. I'm excited. Get some roofs done in downtown. Thank you.
Any questions concerning that?
Very good.
Well, I will ask you one question, Steve.
Yes, ma'am.
How's the Pocket Park coming along?
The Pocket Park
Are you
is coming along. Staff is having a meeting tomorrow on that. Derwin's kind of done somewhat of a finalizing of his planning and design of it. Really, our next step is getting into some type of construction documents so we can actually start to get some bids on some of the things that we're trying to do. But some of the staff are meeting tomorrow to kind of look at it to see if there's anything that we can possibly maybe even do in-house. So.
Okay.
Could you explain that a little bit more?
The Pocket Park?
The location, the concept where it's going to be?
Yes, the Pocket Park, it's a very alley adjacent to JP's on 2nd Street.
So it's behind JP's?
Directly adjacent to it. It actually goes from 2nd Street, the sidewalk, back towards the rear of those structures.
That section of area that's open.
Right now, the primary purpose of it is for trash collection towards the rear. There is an existing wooden fence that is 50 feet or so back down the alley. As you walk down 2nd Street, it is obviously one of our most historic streets and very attractive. It is somewhat of an eyesore at this time. So what we're trying to do is trying to give it a facelift, to bring in some type of decorative fence, maybe a brick wall, still provide access for refuse, but also incorporate some greenery and a lot of other ideas. We did have I guess you'd call a charrette on site about a week and a half ago, invited all the business owners from around that area as well as other people in the community to come down and kind of give us their ideas. And we got a lot of new ideas of things that we can do, and we're going to try to incorporate some of those things also. Derwin, which is a Lower Town resident, has been working with us to kind of write down all of our ideas and give us some basic designs on how to move forward.
Fun. Sounds fun.
It's just, when you walk by some of these lots that are vacant, like where Bob Cherry's, the Cherry the Florist used to be, and there's a lot between the camera shop and building next door. You start looking around, there are a lot of missing teeth. And could we ever work, if we couldn't get anything built on the whole lot, just to build a facade store on the front and use the back of that lot for parking? Do they do anything like that in other communities?
I've certainly seen that done. A lot of time it's the retention of the existing storefront and then putting parking in the back. I'm not sure if I've actually seen someone just actually go back in and build a facade to screen it. Yeah, I have actually seen that.
Be like you could do a retail live space.
Ultimately, what would be really good would be have new infill construction. To bring back
I can
the
think of a
storefront.
couple of westerns where they did, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
Kind of like an old western. Yes.
Bonanza roofs or something.
But at the Pocket Park, we actually want to take people from the sidewalk, bring it back in there, provide a place for people to sit, to read, to draw, to do whatever. Just a place to relax.
But there are other locations, obviously, where
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same.
Be happy to take those on next.
I like the alley between the Rhodes Burford building and next building. there.
Steve, why don't you mention our new bench program downtown?
Well, we did. No, Lynn,
Or
come on up.
Mr.
We did just
Gorilla,
receive some benches, but I'll go ahead and
I think that's worthy of mention, too.
go ahead.
Well, it started out, Steve and I just walking downtown looking at, I think, weeds. We decided that, seating, when I've been down there this summer for the Smashing Summer Saturdays, there's just not enough seating. So I had mentioned that to Steve, and we had some funding. We ordered and received and had them installed last Friday, our first 3 of 7 benches. They are solid cast iron. There's a new one at the gazebo. It's a 6-foot one that we did get installed at the gazebo, and we have 2 on 2nd right outside where our Pocket Park is going to be on the little bump out there at 2nd, and they're great. And people were coming out as we were unloading them, all the business owners, and checking them out. So everybody's really excited about them. And we do have plans for some along 2nd in front of like McMurray and Livingston where the sidewalk's really wide. Put some there, and we have plans for unique tables. We're working with the Paducah School of Art and Design to help sculpture some things for that, too, to go with the benches.
it's great.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think you said if you Google pocket parks, they come up, you can actually see some pictures of what it's been done in other cities.
And pop-up parks, too.
Or pop-up parks, maybe that was it. What did you say I did Google? Pop-up parks? What's the difference between a pop-up park and a pocket park?
They're temporary.
Pocket parks are literally you're taking a space and making it into a park for place.
a pocket park, like-
Pop-up parks, you can go out into a parking space or anywhere and create something in that space as a pop-up park. But it's usually not a permanent, I don't believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just something fun.
fine.
And you can get your artist involved in that.
Thank you.
Any commissioner comments tonight? I would like to tell everyone that we've had 50 essays turned in for the mayor's youth advisory committee for the anti-bullying. So we're happy to have 50, and that's for McCracken County and City of Paducah schools, high school and middle school. So the committee will be meeting, I believe, next Tuesday to go over those essays and select those group of students. So we look forward to their ideas on how to combat bullying in the schools. Okay, so no executive session tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And meeting's adjourned?
Adjourned.
Thank you.